Hey everyone, good morning. Let's just get started really quickly here. Today is September 26th, 2025. Our plan is going great. We hit range just on time. NQ just broke that 24-7-10, guys. This was the overhead on here. So plan for today was I was thinking that they hold 24-536 on NQ, 66.58 on ES. This ended up being a really good hold. I was looking to see if they can get back to 6688, or at least test this area by that 2:30 or 12:30, 12:44 window. They did tag this at 12:44 and then got that nice push to 9.3 like we wanted. Plan for today so that they could just basically get this back to reset the weekly conditions. Go back and read the report and everything's in there. That's part of the reason why they basically had to hold 6658. Okay. And also another reason why they opened at 6673. And also the reason why they took it to 6688 overnight. They do things like this so that they basically can make it so that they're like right in between, so that you have odds of both ends, and so that they can keep it pinnable. Because like I explained it this morning, but basically so they could keep it a little bit back and forth in the morning, and so that they can recycle ranges a bit. Recycling days suck at first, but then obviously once you start to progress, then they get a lot better. So having that 5-8 hold is crucial for them to not have broken it down further, but also enough to make it so that they just have to kill time, basically, is what they had to do. So I'm just reiterating what we already talked about, but this is a lot of stalling, but just so that they could essentially get it back to where they need to. Second half of the session, though, is very, very, very crucial that they don't stall. Okay, so does that make sense to you guys, or not really? Like, they basically overnight our conditions what were that they had to sustain the means. I didn't want them going back to the channel just because of the amount of risk that's implied there. And then in real time today, like obviously we wanted them to retest 6688, 6690, 93 ahead of open, which they did. So this really helped us mitigate risk. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. They opened us at 7.3, which is like, it's not above 7.4. It wasn't above 7.8. It was still beneath 8.8, but it's still above 6.8. Do you see what I'm saying here? So it was kind of like a mid-risk. Like they were very strategic about this because they know is 6696 to 6699, 6703, 6706. Are those enough to be max ranges for the session to pin? No, I'm not muted. Can you guys not hear me? I've been talking this whole time. Okay. Are these areas enough, guys, to be pinnable for the session today, do you think? This is a big reason why the 8-2 area was such an overhead. So this is now implying that we have odds here, especially with structure breaks around this spot at that point in the day. 7-8 was a bigger overhead earlier off 9-9, which we finally were able to clear. So yeah, if you read the report, then we definitely have odds to get there. From real-time lows, they've already broken. This was the 34-point break here on this big stick, by the way. This was when they broke 34 points, just FYI. Yeah, Apple had a nice recovery too. So did, same with Google and Amazon. We had liquidity and some good sticks come in there. We already had hit a 44-point ratio this morning. So this was already 44 points off that 01, okay? Do you see this? Whereas off of maybe like closer to 5.8, we'll have better odds this time. I was thinking that technically speaking, if this is a core to core day from open, so from opening ranges, this is where they could give those 55 to 57 point ratios. Best case scenario would be if they gave us 66 to 64 points. That would get us back to our 67, 21, 22, 23. I still think that there could be a probability for that. I'm not completely taking it off the table just yet. Okay. Off today's actual session open for real time, which was a 7-3 spot. These would obviously be the core to core moves like 51, 52, 55 points. 56 point areas around that 27, 28, 29. 32 to 33 points is right around this 06. So 67.06 is 33 points from open. If we had a full range break to like 44 points, this is where they could reset the weekly open around the 67, 16, 67, 17, 67, 19 area. Do you see that? If they did a similar type range for what they did in real time from this high to this low, and they gave a 46.5 point ratio, let's say, that could reset back to 67.19 or 67.20, which is basically resetting last week's pin of 67.19.25. Does that make sense? And this is all on the report. The idea for today's session is to do what? What do we want to do today? And it's really, really important that they do so. So NQ would be the same thing. What is it that we want to do today? Specifically on ES. You guys, my contact ripped in my eye. That's why I took so long to get on stream. And I can't find it. Like, I actually have no idea where it went. Like, it's literally in my eyeball. Like, it ripped in half. It's hurting so bad right now. These would be the resets. The only issue that I'm seeing is we are stuck in an inside range, which is why maybe we could be limited closer to like this area here. Right? And if we were, they might have to just do a bigger reset of like the 66.99, 66. Like this is definitely an odd too. If they did want to reset closer to these ranges here, let's say around 03, 06. Are we a little bit capped now for range on this session, guys? Okay, I'll give you guys a second to digest that, and I'm going to just go back to my own positioning. Apple, we're still going to keep on watch for Monday. This one had a really, really nice recovery back to 257. If anyone did those 257 calls, I did mention them yesterday to keep on watch for today. Google had a bit of an okay move off the lows, kind of just sitting a little bit still here, but there's kind of like a mini cup and handle on this one. So like I don't know if this one can get like a nice push here. I'm just watching to see if they end up breaking the full range. I also wanted to see if they'd bring it back to at least, I don't think that they could obviously engulf this today unless they had news or something on Google, but it does have some engulfing odds for next week, just so you guys are aware if you want to roll this one out. This one is setting up really nicely on Google. Amazon wasn't a bad one either. Intel we're going to talk about in a second here. On Intel. You kind of see like the hourly supply too on Google where it's coming back to here. Kind of like right in between here. It's not really going to progress until it gets kind of back over this range. Okay, Intel. This was insane. We ended up getting the 3460 break after the bell here yesterday. That was my target for yesterday's session. I don't know if you guys saw that. So really, really clean break. This implied that if we get some opening, closing breaks above this today, they could push this to 3710. I didn't really think that they could take this higher than like 37.10, 37.16 today, but that was my next target on this range break. They did a great job of holding these areas today in real time to above 34.60 and 66. I don't know if you guys saw that. They also opened at 35. I know that there could be some ranges in between, guys, like obviously between here and here. That's why they're stalling there, but I was mostly looking at the past ranges. So, and I'll show you here in a second, like if we go all the way back, they had plenty of gaps in this area here. So it's kind of like a common trend that this area, once it breaks, there's always gaps, like even right here, right here. Do you see it? But I pulled this from way back here. Let me just go back to this range in here. Okay, this is the kind of PA we had that day. So there is definitely some overhead here. I don't know if you guys see that around that like 35.97 area, 35.95 area. This is kind of like the bigger bar. So I'm thinking that they're just basically replicating this candle here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Like this range in here. It's kind of all the same area, 35.95, 93. This is kind of where they had that secondary gap. So there could be some like midpoints in between here. I was thinking like around 35.60 or 36.60 if they end up stalling. But this is kind of like the secondary moves. That's why I'm not entirely sure if we'll get the full range break today, but obviously this is what was caused out of these bigger structural moves from the 3.6 to 3.8 area. They're really wide continuations. So these areas on Intel in general could trigger a really, really wide range. Okay, so it's a name that maybe we'll keep on watch for a while, not just today. Okay, so but this worked out perfectly, guys. Like we actually nailed this. Like this was the perfect play if you took this from either Tuesday on my birthday or from Wednesday. Like look at this. This was insane. And I actually called out the high of day yesterday for real time at 312. That was calculated high. So just a really, really good overall. I do kind of feel sad that I sold a huge chunk of the calls that expired today, but so you see how there's some overhead here? Like this area here around like the 9.395. There's a lot of overhead around this area here, but I think once they start clearing this, it should start getting a little bit nicer in terms of structure. But these are just some of the spots beneath that 36.89. Okay, so that's Intel. I still have some contracts long off the 31.50 calls that I had, and then I still have some calls I picked up earlier today off the 34.65 hold. This was a really solid hold here. I picked up some 36 and 35.50s. If you want to pick some up for next week, that's always an option too. He has had some odds here around like the 130 to 136 period, so I want to see if they can try coming back over 66.99. I think if we can tag 66.99 to 67.03.06 during this period, like between 1:30, 1:48, before 2 o'clock, before 2 p.m., odds heavily increase for 67.20s, okay? If we can tag the 66.99 to 67.06 area. Just because there could be a lot of overhead around the 67.06 to 67.14 in this neutral box. And we want to give it at least an hour to digest that neutral zone if it needs to. Does that make sense? Tesla, Brendan made a really good call on this one. You guys took it down here. I figured Tesla could get that 435.46 break, so that's the target on that. If this one ends up getting that continuation, there could be some range breaks to 440. I think ES would have to have some really good momentum for that to be the case. Any other ones you guys want me to look at before I go back to my positions here? Crypto ended up holding that exact spot we talked about yesterday with no breaks beneath. Open. Open though, what is there to talk about? Because we already talked about that. XOM, if anyone took this play from yesterday, I did mention that I took some contracts long on XOM yesterday for a break to 118. It actually tagged that 118.38 to the exact spot this morning. That one I did cover though. I don't have any contracts left on this one expiring today. Open, like, I don't think anything on this one changes. It came back beneath 907. It's the same thing. Like, there's nothing that really changes. It's still holding 808. So maybe your range differential, I guess, between 808 and here, like, is what you could get in terms of a break, like a 30-cent offset. So like 937, maybe like 950 if they end up breaking this today. Does that make sense? Nice, Brokey. That's a really, really clean trade. I feel like it was so underrated, too. No one even was paying attention when I was saying I'm taking that one long. Okay, NVIDIA will be the last one, guys, and then I have to get back to some of my own positioning, too, because I put a bunch of orders in and I don't know what filled and what hasn't. Also, I want to see if Intel here on these breaks. Tesla getting a nice stick break through 432. Remember, these are calculated spots on Tesla. This isn't the template. Remember, we couldn't find it? But, like, basically, these are really good ranges to be breaking. So if they can kind of come back, take out 434, like this area here where it stalled, like right around here, this could easily get like a nice clean break. It's that 435.46 that could send this to 440 on Tesla. Can someone write that in the Discord so it doesn't, whoever's trading that? I'm not in Tesla today, unfortunately. I wasn't quick enough to enter with you guys, and I already had some other positions open. Where's my NVIDIA chart? I don't even know where my NVIDIA template is. That's weird. Well, NVIDIA is just kind of in an inside range today, though. Doesn't really... Probably better odds for Monday. But if the entire market decides to start moving a little bit this afternoon, then, you know, I feel like this could maybe get back to like 170, 179 if we get like a decent push. CALH was the one that you were talking about earlier, right? This is just a really nice daily too. This is a good, that's a really nice structure on this. This could easily get like a clean break. What time frame are you using on this one? This looks like you could definitely use like an annual range on this. So it looks like it's clearing. So if that it has like a cup break, especially above like this annual range in here, does that make sense? Like that's a perfect area for that handle to form. You see that, Booth? Like this area in here, that would be a perfect spot for that to form. Off this range here, especially if it holds a higher high and then has a close at least above that 54.30. What are their options trading like? Stuck in an inside bar on the 8-month. So maybe we'd have to have some the only thing I don't like about it, is that there's a few inside candles till end of year on 8-month and the 5-month, but other than that, this looks pretty solid. I'm assuming it stalled its 25% ratios there too. Yeah, it did. Use that fib on extension on that booth. And this is probably the 1.25, so probably moving in like 25 increments, like quarterly increments. Where's like around here? Do you see that? You don't really need anything else in between. Just remove these. Kind of like that. And if you adjust it like right off where they stalled, you probably have to clear close to like 66, 66.74, like this area here. That'll give you the better odd. 66.74 area. From the, I just did the extension on the annual bar from here. Do you see it? You could also, I mean, technically speaking, you could apply it there, but I think doing it off the closing point to the low would be better. You could even adjust it off the open close, but I think the close to low is a little bit better. Or you could just do it off a range theory too, if you wanted to. Like from here, like 28.83 points or so. Like around here. Or here, like off the open. So what is that? The level is 55.45. That's the calculated spot. Okay. So that's probably the area that I would set alerts on this. That's probably where it has to close above. From a time theory though, I'm not really sure. We'd have to look and see some structures, but they report on the 5th. NQ finally getting a little break here above that. That's the first clearance stick here on NQ. Intel stalled a little bit. Okay, guys, I want to focus a little bit too here. Just give me a second. No more individual plays. I'll look at some other ones in a second here. I don't want to miss anything. No problem, Boot. That's a really nice setup, though. don't know why I keep writing 2026 on all my stuff. So if you did SPY instead, you could have done like the 658s. I feel like those gave some pretty good risk reward, especially off like $1.40, $1.50. I think they're trading like close to $4 now. $6.60s could still maybe have some room here today too. Oh, some volatility coming in, guys. I don't know, Google just got a stick. Not sure what that was about. Apple crossing also. Apple getting a break here, but Google also got a stick, so I'm not sure what that was about. Apple had a stick up, Google had a massive stick down with volume. Not really sure why. Google's being investigated. Apple stick through 257.20s, 257.29. These are extremely calculated spots on Apple that we've talked about over the past few days. This is what could push it to 258.20 on Apple. If anyone took this one long. I had a feeling that was my instinct telling me to go back to my positions. I don't know why, but I had a feeling that something was going to happen off that minute stick. I covered my Google calls there. I wanted to kind of start covering here though. Damn it. Especially off that 248 stall right here. I know. Next time if I say no more, no more. That's why I don't like streaming too much when I have more positions on than usual. Because that Google stick just cost me some profits back. My sister just told me that Canada Post went on strike again. For whatever reason. Tesla getting that 430, 433 test here. These are really big spots on Apple, so... And some really big areas here too on ES. ES, I wanted to see if they try clearing the 9.9 area before too. Like that would be the most ideal, especially if they can do it around the 144 to 148 window. Or 148, sorry, to 150 window. Oh, Amazon really held nicely off 218. I didn't even notice that till now. I feel like Canada Post has been on strike since I was a kid. Like, I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like they're... When are they not on strike? Aren't they always on strike? Like, I feel like they're literally always on strike. When haven't they been on strike? You guys, my contact is literally in the back of my head right now, and I don't know how to get it out. It ripped in half. I sat there for like an hour trying to get it out. And it wouldn't come out. There was another name I wanted to look at, and I forgot. I think it was City. Was it City? No. It feels stuck though. It feels like there's something there. Yeah, like under my lid or something. Oh, it was Oracle. That's what it was. Thank you. I want to kind of see if it would hold off the lows. I don't have a position in it though. I'm wondering if Google's one of those ones that gets bad news and then moves. Sometimes things react actually positive to bad news for some reason. So far starting to reduce range a little bit on ES. You guys did take some off though in these areas, right? Like 8.2, 8.3, I said that could be one of your first covers, especially off the 5.8 to 6.4 area, like this area here. Basically beneath 6.6 but above 5.8 is a perfect entry point, this area here. You covered full position? You're not going to wait to see if we get a 67.06 retest? I guess it kind of depends where you entered, but if you entered off 5.8 or 6.4, then I feel like you could still afford to hold some into the last 2 hours. I would only start trimming a lot more if they come back beneath like 8.2. This 9697 area is obviously heavy too. These are some areas that could be basically those pinnable spots too, like in this range in here. Tesla looks like it could go here on Tesla. What expiration or what strike did you guys do on Tesla? Okay. Well, I guess we'll see if ES can get some turnarounds here before 2. What's this high range? Oh. Yeah, maybe. I took some of those out of the money calls just to try playing this. I'll cut them quick if it doesn't get a break here by 2 on Tesla. This just seemed like it had some good odds. So, I don't know. I'm going to focus a little bit though, because if it's going to break, it's going to do it now. I did those 435s off that 70-cent hold. Just as a quick trade though. I think it'll break. Mostly to see if ES2 here holds the line and tries retracing back here by that 5.7, 5.6 tick. Google getting a bit of a turnaround and breakdown. Are you talking to me, Elko? Who are you talking to? I wish I didn't get distracted off Google. I should have just focused on that. I wanted to cut it there earlier. Yes, stalling a little bit here. Still above 8.8, but we don't want it to stall too long. Well, the distraction part already happened. This made me look at way too many names that I should have. I wanted to cover that. I didn't like how Google wasn't breaking that one spot. Intel getting some nice stick breaks back to 35 here. Watch Intel here. That's a direct close to that 35.92 to 93. Could give a better range break now. We're watching Tesla on the 433 break. Yes, it needs to kind of hold the line at 8.8 and make a bit of a turnaround here by 2. Where's Apple? Apple kind of stalled that 257.29 and then made a bit of a reversal. NQ stalled at 710, 709. Tesla getting that stick break, guys. On Tesla, 434.33. This thing gets that clearance of highs. I'd be looking to see if they can take out that 435.46, especially if they can break this area here before 2. Kind of just did a really quick trade on that. Those contracts moved really nicely, though. That's a nice stick break. That's exactly what we want to see, guys. Single stick to 435.46. Perfect, perfect, perfect range on Tesla. And just in time, I'm going to cover some here. That was an easy 120% trade for literally 2 minutes. Did you guys take that? This is a really clean break on Tesla. These are triggers. Like, there's not much confluence around 434, but there is around 435.46. So it didn't really make sense for them to stall 434.30 earlier. Made way more sense for them to push this to 435.57. And this is ahead of 2 o'clock, so this is where they could push to 440 in play. 440 to 441. I told you guys to put that in the chat earlier and no one did. Oh no, I think actually Brendan did. Yeah, you did. That opens up the window here on Tesla. What a range break on that. 70 cents to almost $2 in that move, you guys. I think those things could actually probably end up hitting around like 3 mark if this gets the full range break today, because those would now be in the money or at the money. Did you grab that, Neon? On Tesla? $236 break here on Tesla. Ahead of 2 o'clock too, which really keeps its odds pretty high to tag these 440 ranges today. If they did like a mid-range break, it'd probably be like 438.10 or something like that. I did take half off though. I covered half on that break. Okay. ES got its turnaround, guys, right in time before 2. ES retracting and retracing that 6693, like I said. This is really important that they get back to 93 ahead of 2. So that was perfect in terms of reversals back up on this one. Intel got that break back over 3593 back to retesting 3608. 3608 break is what could push this to 37 essentially. Especially if they can get these range breaks. 3630 I think was the next mark on this one. Well, I would sell at least half here. Like, I took it right here, so I don't have a crazy good entry like you guys did, but I felt like it was at least worth, like, a nice, quick trade, which it was. These went from, like, 65, 70 cents to $2 on this move. Nope. There we go. 2 p.m. breaking that 9.3 mark. I still would have preferred that they broke. Actually, you know what? It doesn't need 9.3. I think today's range, when we calculated it, was actually... Hold on. I sent it in the chat earlier. I think 34 points is actually 9.1 off lows, and then off the 5.8, I think it's actually closer to 9.250. So 9.250 is actually fine. Okay? That's actually okay. That's still a 34-point break off lows, and I'm pretty sure when I looked at it this morning off open, it's still a 17-point break around like that 90 spot. Yeah, it is. Okay, so you'd want to see like a 22-point break here. That's probably where they stalled around 9.6. Does that make sense? This gave a really good opportunity, guys, to buy back here in between this window, especially between 1:48 and 2 o'clock. The midpoint was around 5.556. Idea was to get back and retrace this range. Tesla getting some massive stick breaks here, guys. Like I said, I think the first market on when it pushes will probably be close to like 438-ish area. Like midpoints in between here. Huge breaks on Tesla, guys. That looks like it's heading to that 440. Those calls now hitting that 3 mark, like I said, 320 on those 435s. I'll take one more contract off here, but I'm going to leave the rest. You could have also done 437s if you wanted, but I stuck with the 435s. Great work, guys, on that move. That's a huge trade, guys, if you took it. No problem. Thanks, guys, for putting it on the radar earlier. If they actually did the full range today, that would be insane. Selling it at 432, I would have slapped you. No, just kidding. No. This thing stalling 434 earlier was perfect because that implied that they didn't take full range before like the session started, okay? So they still had odds of getting 435, which was really, really nice. There's the 3620. If anyone tried the 36 calls, guys, on Intel, I said that this one could snap. They're off a 3608 break after 2. 3608 breaking here, 3630 next overhead on Intel. This one could easily get that nice clean break to 3650, 56. There's a lot of confluence around the 56 to 65 range on INTC. Clean stick breaks on this. Those contracts are moving super clean if you took those, especially the 3550s. I still have some left of my 3150s too, and I did take those 36 off the lows earlier this morning. NQ made it back to that 24,709,710. Tesla, I think, has some odds here around 207, 208 for this retest, so just keep a very close eye here. Let's set some alerts. I might have been a little bit off. I just kind of guesstimated that range, but I figured it was close to 438. But I'm pretty sure that that's close to the midpoint. Let me just measure it, actually. Hold on. Between here and here. And the 440. And our actual spot. So based on where the actual highs were, 436 makes sense, I guess, or 437.62, because that's where they'd initially stalled. But the ideal area to break is, yeah, 438.04, like around this area here. Okay. Some reversals back here though on ES. And Google. Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, they stalled 36.30 to the exact spot here on Intel. It's a pretty big area here. Like, obviously these are now becoming enough to be considered some max ranges, so we have to start being very, very careful. I want to see if Tesla holds the line here too. Otherwise I'll start cutting. Am I trading inside and outside bars? Well, I'm not trading them, but I have them on the chart, yes. I like that indicator. Like the inside bar, outside bar indicator. I'm still annoyed about this one. I had to end up taking this. I could have got the best cover there if I wasn't distracted looking at those other names. I saw it and I felt like that was, and then I got that news, but I feel like Google had some good odds today if that news didn't hit there. That was obviously priced in. NQ kind of stalling here a little bit too. What did you say? Any times? Well, I was gonna watch 212 for Tesla. I'm not timing ES2 too much today just because it is I was mostly timing the mid-session, okay, to make sure that they clear these ranges here, especially around 1220, 1224, 1230, 1244, okay, like back in this range here and ahead of 1. After 1 o'clock, though, it's more so that anywhere in these ranges here are pinnable. Does that make sense? So it's more so of like sustainment at this point than it is a timing thing, especially when it starts becoming pinnable into the close, to start giving us an idea of how much range they could have. Like, I would say you definitely have to start holding off of like the 8283, like I said before, and ideally break back over this 9796, probably no later than like the 230 to 236 window. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like using them too, Malcolm, especially on like the wider time frames, especially when you could start seeing like if there could be some outside breaks on some wider frames. Like Apple's a really good example, for instance, like this one on like a, what time frame was it? I think on, was it Apple or was it Google? I think it was Google actually. I think on like a wider time frame, right? This could come back and make an outside break right into next week. Some of them. Maybe it was Amazon that was stuck on a, oh no, it was NVIDIA. Like this is just kind of stuck on like multi-frames. Like this kind of gives you an idea that this one could be just stuck for a while today, or like less range, you know what I mean? Oh, there, 212 worked nicely there. So 212 euro. It was the frame that I was using for Tesla. But we could use some of the similar ones. Like usually like around this period anyway, it's usually around here. 230, 32, this range in here. I didn't actually calculate these though. These are mostly for Tesla's breaks. Tesla breaking back over that 437 off that 212. NQ did a really good job saving the range here above 24,671. This looks a little bit more constructive this time. Do you see that? Especially off this range here. I'd say that they'd have to get a closing stick above that 24,710. I'm pretty sure when we looked at this, it was closer to 710. I'm just going to mark the 10 spot on here. But this looks a little bit better this time. Same with ES, a little bit better off 8887. So we'll see if they can retract and retest at least 6693, probably no later than that 218 window. Let's watch Tesla here to see if we can get some nice range breaks. If you guys have any questions too, just ask as we go. If I'm obviously in a trade or something like that though, then I'll answer it after. You did NQ long? This was a nice hold on NQ Euro. So equivalent today on NQ would be, I would say, off of here. Like you see how this is, those are probably like those, you know, we're measuring like the 143 and then the 214. 214 ratios, so probably like from here. Do you see that? They probably stalled 214 here. That's the same thing as stalling 33 to 34 points. That's the same thing. So 221 is probably where there's a lot of confluence, around like 24,741. And then if that can obviously get the full structure break, which if ES does the same thing, it'd be like these areas here, like 24,796, 24,806, this area here. 820-ish, this area here, this spot right here. These would be like the upside target areas here. Is Tesla getting that break over 438? Range breaks here on Tesla at 438. I marked these same increments on ES for the 16, 18 marks. So this was met just on time. On Tesla, 438. 27, 438.15. These were some calculated areas I did in my head, guys. Okay, so they weren't exact, but these are basically ranges on a break that can imply we can get a move to at least 440.53. Okay. This break right here, though, is definitely closer to that 441.61 spot that I was telling you guys about. Do you see it? Look. Do you see that? Where they're stalling here? So this is already implying that they could give us these spots. Look, 441.30. Can someone document this, please? Izzy had targets today around 441 for Tesla if we get these range breaks. Kind of closer to like the 441.38, 441.40. That's a really clean stick on Tesla. That's a really nice break on Tesla. See if ES can try testing this 6696 by that 218 window. Those contracts on Tesla, guys, are moving so clean. $4 now from like the 65-cent entry on those. That's insane. These are going to go vertical if they actually tag that 41 mark. Hi, Stacy. Yes, thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, but I also get sad when it's Friday sometimes. I really like trading, so sometimes I actually get sad when it's the weekend. I know it sounds really, really lame, but I actually get very sad sometimes when it's the weekend. I don't like the weekends that much. I'm just going to set some alerts around like some midpoints, like 439, like this area here. We still have so much time left in the day too. I know I only took 4 contracts. I wish I took more too. I ended up adding more though. I added 3 more of the 437s, guys. The 437.50s when they pulled back. I added some there, which I know is a bit more of a risky trade, but that was a really good stick break through 438. So I'll start cutting those though if they start stalling like 439, just because those ones were more out of the money. Intel, we need to break that 3630 wall. Apple's trying to make a bit of a comeback. I already have alerts set on that. ES stalled the 6696. Keep that window through 24. ES usually has better odds around the 230 to 248 period anyway, especially around 236, 238, 232. NQ tagged these spots though at 18. Do you see that? This was a nice birthday week. If you took Tesla or Intel, you guys should have had a really good week. Or even Oracle the other day, or last week. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Elko. The funny thing is my actual birthday, I guess, hasn't really occurred yet. My birthday's wrong on my ID. Those hit a mark of 3, which is insane. I'm just going to put the 12 area on here, because it's kind of like, and we set around the 2324, right? Okay. Yeah, mine isn't that bad. Mine is the 28th. And I think it's just because maybe I think the 3 looked like an 8. So I think that's how that ended up happening. Like, mine's not that bad, you know? It's not like a completely different month or year or something. And then, I don't know, I just never changed it because I was like, whatever. I don't really care. It's 5 days. XOM actually maybe might move into the close actually based on this. I'll watch the 2-4 period on Tesla. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to be max range for ES on the session today? Out of curiosity. Where do you guys think they'll take this to? Give me some numbers, guys. Getting those range breaks. NQ a little bit stronger than ES. I was looking to see if they can tag 669, 650, 6697 by that 224 window. This was such a good hold of 5-8, guys. I'm so proud of myself today. There it is, 24-7-12 break on NQ. Ahead of that 2-4, so 2-3-2-4 had some pretty good odds there. NQ a little bit stronger than ES. ES I figured probably won't break until that 224 mark, whereas NQ had some odds at 223 ahead of the stick. Let's see here. At least try testing like 9-6 during this period. There it is, 66.96 test here on ES, right on time at 224, guys. If they can tag 9-7, that would be ideal, but I guess we'll have to see. It doesn't look like it, but at least they tag 9-6, which is good enough. NQ a little bit stronger here. Tesla breaking here. How much time is left in this stick, guys? 10 seconds? Tesla, new high of day here, right on time, 224 break for Tesla. This is perfect timing, guys, so this keeps things in play for some extensions on the session today. Tesla could get now that range break move through that 439 spot. Like I said, there it is, 439 on first attempt on Tesla on that break. Look at it. 439 stick break, guys, on Tesla. This is around like that 618, I think. I just had it in my head, or 6-6 ratio. Yeah, 6-6, right around here. Let me change the color of that. That's hard to see. There we go. So around 439.34, so give or take. Now even the 440s could be at the money. Hopefully you guys left some from... I still have half of those 435s, and I added some of those 437.50s. I guess 440s could have been in play too, but I didn't want to go that far out of the money. What a trade. Look at that. 439.34 breaks, guys, especially ahead of this 27 window that could push that 439.87, which could give us that break of 440.53. That was the first bigger target I had on Tesla today, on a break of 435. ES getting that 9-9 break, guys. Perfect timing for ES to get these moves here, especially with 424 getting that push. Did you guys see that last second push at 24 to 9-7 on ES? Did you guys see that? They did it the final seconds, if you guys were watching on that 5-second chart. Look. Do you see? Look. It was like the final seconds. Do you see this? Look. It was the last second that they pushed that. That's what allowed that to get that push to 9-9. Isn't that insane? That's perfect time and price right here. Okay, this break right here at 2-4 allows for the push here. There's better odds at 230 though to actually clear 9-9, so we'll have to wait to see what they do there. I'm going to focus a bit more on Tesla though, if you guys are okay with that, because obviously Tesla's a more volatile mover. 439.87 is kind of the overhead right here. We'll see if we can get some range breaks. Those calls, guys, are $5 now from that 65-cent entry. That's insane. This is a big spot on Tesla, guys. How many of you guys took the Tesla trade? That's a huge trade. I know you guys want to trade ES and NQ, but sometimes you have to trade some of these individual names when they get moving like this. ES stalling here at 9-9. That's exactly what I thought they would do though, because there isn't really high odds during this period here. Better odds around the 330 to 3.2, 3.6 window. I would say probably closer to like the 3.2, 3.3. Google getting a bit of a turnaround. NQ stalling right beneath that 24,735. That'd be the next overhead on this thing. Tesla, we can just watch to see if they can take it back green here by 2:30. And try taking out that 439. Is this helpful for you guys? You should be getting some really big trades on Tesla on this move, guys. There's no way you guys should have missed that. That was a really, really great trade. This is where I did the first one. This is where I did the second. I know you guys were long down here, but I missed my entry this morning. So I was like, there it is. 439.87 being tested here ahead of 230. This could be explosive, guys, on Tesla. That could be the next stick break to 440.53. $442.02. That would be nuts. They tagged it to the exact penny there at 86.87. Do you see that? They're stalling it by 1 cent here. Okay, I'm going to focus a little bit if you guys don't mind. Tesla's stalling this big spot here a little bit off that 230 mark. It definitely knows that this is a big area for this name. ES getting that turnaround here. I felt like there was better odds at 233, 232. So we're just waiting to see if that window here gives us that tag. We don't want to just test 9.9. I definitely want to close at least around the 9.850 to 9.9 area. That would be good. We could watch the same sort of frame here on Tesla. I want Tesla though to break here soon. There we go, because that's a big spot to lose, because this is enough to be considered a max range, which I don't really want. Like tagging 440.53 would be a lot better. Tesla stick break. That's a really nice range break on Tesla. 440, I think, tag there on Tesla. Those calls over $5, guys. That's insane. On that break. Okay, let me set some alerts. 440.5. Okay, and let's set 60. Oops. Where's, yeah, 66. 99. 36. 10. If they start stalling during this period here, then there could be some delays. Like through our 36, 38 period. What a vertical move on Tesla though. I would want Tesla to try making a bit of a turnaround here. Especially over the next like 5 minutes. This is a really important window here. Same with ES. Even if it just stays slightly green, I don't really care. Like, you see this? Last second save there on Tesla. Do you guys see that? To take it green. As long as it's like before this 3-6 window, just because this is when volatility could start hitting. Same with ES. Okay, I'm going to focus a tiny bit here and then we'll see what happens. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Not really a spot that you wanted to stall because this area does imply volatility. It's okay if they're doing it ahead of 3.6, 3.8 because then they still have odds to try bringing it back. But this is definitely an area that could be enough for range. So we have to start being a little bit cautious now on Tesla. See if they try turning it back and negating this off the 3.6. Same with ES. ES, nice stick here at 3.5. They're still keeping that odd in play for a 3.5, 3.6 break. See if Tesla has enough power here to also maybe engulf and negate. Do you see that? First 10 seconds here at 2:36. That was the most calculated time to get a 9998 break with volume this time. Look at this. First 15 seconds of that candle opening, giving us that break that we need. See if they can close this time above that price point. That's going to really help our odds this afternoon. Okay, Tesla's still holding off that 439. Tesla has some better odds around this 3.8 window, so we'll see if they can still try pushing in the next 2 minutes. I just don't want it to stall here. This is a really bad spot for it to stall. See if they can close it at least over 9.8. That's what we said, right? That's not a bad close. 9.850 would have been a bit better though. There's still a minute though, or 2 minutes between that 3.7 and 3.8. And we have a lot more calculated odds around 01, 02 today. Well, my broker just kicked me out, so something will probably happen here. Because I have to log back in. Are they still stalling 9.9 here? Is Tesla getting a turnaround here? Okay. I would say that the 3.8 is probably the cutoff for this period. I don't really want Tesla to keep stalling in this area past 3.8. That would be terrible. 439.86 being retested here on Tesla. This is the perfect time to come back and retest that high. Otherwise, they could really stall. I'd say that this is the cutoff for both ES and Tesla. ES needs to get at least a close over 9.850, 9.875. 9.9 would be ideal. 15 seconds left here. Looks like Tesla stalled 44.20, so stalling highs by like 3 cents. I mean, usually it does, but what does that have to do with what it's doing right now? If these could be max ranges for Tesla on the session, then what business does it have moving end of day? Do you get what I'm saying? These are areas that it could stall. These are enough to be considered max ranges. Even if it were to come back end of day and start moving. This is a more important period than end of day here for Tesla. Perfect stick close here on ES. That's the first close above 9.9, which can really help these odds here through 248 and 3 o'clock. Tesla still did test those ranges even though it stalled, so I mean it could still keep it in play, but it's not really holding the line that well here. It's kind of watching to see if they break this down at 240 back to like the 238.75 area. I would like them to hold off that 439.34, but we'll have to see. Apple trying to come back and retest here too. NQ getting better moves than ES. NQ crazy move to that 24 spot. 24.735 being tested here on NQ. That's one of the first bigger targets on the session today for this one. ES getting that 67.01 test. It has more odds around 67.02. Watch to see if they can bring this back on Tesla ahead of 3 o'clock. Do we have any catalyst, guys, at 3? Is there anything happening in the market at 3 o'clock or after 3 o'clock? No? Okay. Oh, wow. Nice euro. I'm so happy for you. The market gave us a really good birthday week. It knew it was my birthday. So it gave us the best trades possible. There were so many good trades this week, especially on individual names. I just want to see if Tesla gives up the line here around like the 44 mark, just because there's still odds on ES around 48 and 50. Like ahead of 3 o'clock for those retests of 67.01.03. So, and Tesla's like kind of tight lining between its 50 to 75% ratios here. I feel like we always have like good days though when we're streaming and stuff, you know? NQ gets a break here ahead of that 4.4 mark. This could get that nice push to that 24.763. So far, it looks like ES, guys, is on its way to get to our... we look like we have odds. Like the odds seem like they're there to get these resets to this area here today. I would say the condition would have to be to get to these marks here by 3 o'clock though. Like at least retest 06 by 3, isn't that what we said? Okay, I feel like when I stream and when I tell you guys where to buy in the Discord at like and where but you guys do really good. But when I'm not there, you guys don't do that good, and that drives me nuts because it's like I can't always have to like you guys can't always like rely on me like that. You guys have to start like making your own decisions on some of these trades too. Do you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I'll butt in when I see you guys saying something. I'm like, oh my god, no. Right? Like this morning when you guys were saying it's gonna go 30 points lower, I was like, no, it's fucking not. I was like, what are you guys talking about? I actually got so mad. And I was like, I'm going long off 5.8. like and it's on the report. Like, what are you guys doing? I was so angry. I was like, no, like there's no way. It opened at 7.3. We tested 8.8. We tested 9.9. They held the means. Why would you think that this is gonna go back to the channel? I was so confused. And I'm like, what did I stay up doing that end of week report for, saying that we have to pin in the zone? For nothing? I stayed up doing this last night for absolutely nothing? For you guys to say that we're going all the way back down here? I was like, what? That's funny. Some volatility coming in here ahead of 3 o'clock, just beneath that 67.01, 67.02. There should be some news there. They still have time though, so that's not really a big deal. Oh, I was just talking about the comment I read this morning. That's what made me more convicted in that long setup this morning. Tesla getting a bit of a reversal here, guys. Careful on that stick. Back to that 437.99. This isn't surprising either because these are easily pinnable spots too for end of session. If they decide that they want to start limiting range a little bit, they'll start reducing off these areas here. We had some news. So like 5 points here is probably the equivalent of this area here around 03, 02. There's some odds though at 4.8, 4.7, so you could just give this like 3 more minutes to see if they turn it back. Because they could easily turn it right back around here off 4.7, 4.8. They also held 9.3. 247 turnaround here. They had to reduce range a little bit because they probably didn't want it to trigger 67.02.03 too early. Does that make sense? Especially since it's 248. Like if they triggered 03 that early, then it probably would give higher odds of expansion scenarios to occur this afternoon. It's better that they wait till closer to like 2:54, 3 p.m. Tesla getting that negation stick at 4.7 as well, back to 438.70. I would say that the 4.8 to 50 window is pretty important, at least for them to sustain these ranges. Like for ES to get back over like 698, 699. For Tesla to get back over this 438.70, 439. NQ held off that 24.707 nicely too. So NQ is obviously the 24.735. Nice negation sticks, guys, off these spots. Right back to that 9,850. See if they can get it back to 9,9 here by the 250 mark. Intel lost a bit of its steam. Google getting a better turnaround here. Do you guys see how I didn't panic too much right here, because the odds, we're better off coming back down here at this time than this time, okay? So it wasn't really a huge deal. Plus, the ranges could be limited. So if the range that they reduced us by is implying that 6706 area anyway, okay? So like this 06, 07, 05, which they might just want to wait till after 3 o'clock because they need to start deciding where they want to pin this for end of week. It's Friday close, which is always important, right? To close off the week, especially this being the final Friday close of September and Q3. Tesla still stalling here. Google getting some good sticks here. Google could get a nice reversal here, guys. It has been kind of volatile today, but we'll see if it has better odds maybe after the last hour or something. ES stalling a little bit here before 3. What time is it? 12:50? What was your guys' best play today that you had? SPX. Tesla getting a bit of a reversal here. Well, Intel was good for like the overnight. Like intraday, not as great, but it was still decent. Obviously, it's more of like the ones that we already had going into today's session, but yes, was still really good though. Well, I mean, Striker, man, everyone thought we were getting that in September, and we didn't. So my thesis for September was we go higher, right? And that could extend all the way through, I think, what did we say? October 16th through 22nd or something? Just give me a second here, guys. I want to focus a bit before 3. Because this last hour is going to be pretty important. Yeah, we basically met range, Striker Man, to basically be extended until October 22nd. Okay, so on like a long theory, right? And a lot of it has to do with what the kind of range we get on ES between September 22nd through 29th. This is like the calculated time interval that keeps us in play through this period here. Yeah, I don't swear much. I'm also like always around kids, so I feel like sometimes I'm very cautious to not swear. And also like I never know who's listening and if there's kids around, you know what I mean? So I try my best not to swear, just in case someone's like sitting with their kids or something, listening to me stream. But I don't swear much in general. Like I don't really swear. I feel like I swear more in Arabic than I do in English. Swearing more in Arabic is funnier, I feel. Like Arabic swears are way funnier. This is interesting here because it's like a slight stall at 5.4. The window's getting smaller and smaller. I went to HomeSense yesterday with my sister. For Canadians, I don't know, Americans, what's the equivalent of HomeSense in the States? What's the equivalent of HomeSense in the States? I don't even know. And I talked to the cashier in Arabic. I don't know why. And then my sister's like looking at me, and then I zoned out. The cashier's just looking at me. And I was like, oh my, I don't know why I said that in Arabic. I was so confused. For 38.15, we're traced here. Yes, needs at least, like this was okay. That wasn't good enough. Like 9.850 is good. So, okay, let me tell you guys something. You see here how they didn't close 9.850? This was good that they tested it, but not good for a close. 9.850 here, this is better, okay? So this is giving better odds of not only clearing above 9.9 and closing above it, but actually testing like the 0102. Does that make sense? These sticks here were technically more progressive than these sticks here. Same with Tesla, like getting the stick break back up during this time interval here. This could have been a really good re-entry on Tesla, guys. Yeah, because remember back here I said I wanted at least 9.850 and they couldn't quite do that. It's a little bit better here until getting a bit of a downside reversal, but I think they might just want to pin the close on this closer to these ranges, I'm guessing. I'm just managing contracts on that one now. Google kind of stalling this range in here, but if that thing comes back over 248, that could get moving into the close too. Apple, I think, kind of just stalled. On what? On Tesla? Well, Tesla's a crazy mover sometimes, so a lot of this is going to be relative to where they take these things 2 by 3. Are you sure, you guys, we have nothing at 3 o'clock or after 3 o'clock this afternoon? I know it sounds like I don't trust you guys. let me check. There might be news, because they might just have like news that drops or something then, because I feel like they need to push this area around this point in time. So if they can close this above 9.9 before 3, this is going to be super, super helpful. 67.01. I'm going to look for the 67.0250 retest here. Another thing too was they broke 9.3 at 2 versus before 2, even though 9.250 was technically enough. But there's a lot of like 50.50 cent offsets here that have been happening a lot lately. Tesla could get a retest here at the 259 3 o'clock window. So we're watching for that 439.34 retest, 439.87 retest. ES, we're looking for 6.99 retest here for 5.9 for a break at 3. They stalled highs at 6.7 0.50. NQ, you're looking for 24,735 breaks. Let me know if you guys have any questions on any positioning. Let's watch this maybe in a 5-second interval here, especially off the 30-second flip, just to see what they do. A nap. He took a nap when Tesla was going nuts. Let's see here. Still no progression. 669825. That's the exact same that they had off that previous stick, so it's not bad. 50 would have been a bit better, so there still could be some slight implied volatility here. Google got that break though above this little wall for 3. And I said watch Google. Google could get like a retest of 248 here. We do need to at least test 9.9 though here, so hopefully they at least give us a decent close. How much time is left in this stick? 66.99 tested to the penny. Hopefully they can close above 50. They keep closing beneath the 50 at 2.5. No close above 50. We can add a delay through 305. Tesla kind of just holding the line here until kind of just stalling. NQ stalling. Yeah, gold has been nice. Same with NQ. Silver has been really nice too. At least they brought it to 6698, guys, for the last hour. That's still not bad. It still gives us decent odds of getting into the neutral zone here for the last hour. I still would have preferred above 99, but it's still okay. Like, this is still enough to give us those odds of getting to our areas here. I put a delayed window at 305. Watch the same thing here on Tesla. I'm watching for turnarounds here too on NQ. NQ getting a bit of a better structure break than ES. We can watch that 0405 window here too on NQ. know what's crazy is I had these calculated on on Intel, and they would hit around like 450, and that was actually super accurate. So 7. Probably use 21. What is this? 747. When does this flip? 09. Can we watch 309? Can we watch 309 p.m., guys? And some of these, if they don't keep, this is like an inside bar all the way through till 356. Okay, so if they really want to mess around, they could wait till the final 3 to 4 minutes of the close, okay? This is kind of an interesting time frame. If they actually did that, that would suck because it means that they wouldn't test. So the best window to do this is right now between this 305 to 309, okay? If they don't break during this period in time, there is a probability that they could keep this stuck till end of session, okay? I guess we could watch the 309 here on Tesla. And we'll do the same on Google. I'm just going to use the washroom here, guys, before this window. So 308, 309, super important times of day to see if they can try coming back and retesting and breaking this range. Intel getting that turnaround like we said for 3. Those are some pinnable spots on that one. Tesla breaking down just a tiny bit. If they start stalling here, then they could delay this all afternoon, okay? I'll be right back, guys. Give me 2 minutes. Yeah, them stalling, guys, this point in time is implying that they could keep this delay till very, very end of session. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if you guys want to start rolling contracts out or what you want to start doing, but it is a pretty crucial period to kind of just watch for. Okay. Well, look at that inside bar on that time frame I sent, Brendan. Even Tesla are like not really retracting much. Intel getting some stalls here now too after stalling kind of like the midpoint here on Intel. Starting to come down to like my last contracts on Intel too. Yeah. Well, it's not that. It's more of like, what is this? The 329? Like, this is stuck in an inside candle. Do you see this? From 1027 to 156. 1027 was low day. Okay, so they might not break high of day until after 356. Does that make sense, guys? This is a very strategic way of looking at this. That could keep it stuck. Make sense? Especially if they want to pin the close at 6706, 6703, 6699, whatever the case is. They might want to wait till final, like, 5-10 minutes into the close. There are obviously still some odds here for them to come back and turn it around and break this, but this is just so you guys can see the probabilities here. There were some odds at 312, so I did want to watch to see if they can bring it back a little bit. But they are holding it. I don't think that they're going to give up the range. It's more so of just delaying it, okay? This is a delay inside range, right, to pin the close. And they usually do that if they want to close it somewhere, especially on a Friday. Like, them doing that on a Friday makes a lot of sense. I was watching Tesla here at 312 to see if they break this back down or retrace it back to 438.07.15. Because this is a pretty important period to see if they want to hold the line. Same with ES. We probably want some more digestive range on Tesla, like in between here. On ES, maybe like more so in between here, like up here. We'll have to see. I'm just gonna mute myself, guys, for a bit. Intel just triggered a high volume alert. So that's some odds, guys, at 321. I wanted to see if things basically get back into these ranges here. So for Tesla, it would be back over this 438.15, 27, ideally over 438.40. This kind of will just rebalance it for the end of session. Does that make sense? To keep some odds in play. For ES, it's obviously getting back at least over 66.97. Ideally back over this 98.50, 99 spot. We'll have to see what they do because we want to consolidate a little bit higher. Google's still kind of stalling the line here. I feel like if they keep this a tiny bit lower during this period, then it is just going to keep us a little bit more stuck till end of session, which honestly is fine. It's just more of like, at least we know that that's the case. Do you know what I mean? I don't really care if we stay stuck as long as we know that that's what's going on. It doesn't really matter. So we'll see what they do here. We're going to watch our imbalance period too between 330 and 336. Yeah, they're stalling here on Tesla. Someone was asking earlier, like, doesn't Tesla move late? Like, yes, Tesla can be a late day mover, but you have to realize too that these could be max ranges for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially if like 440.53. Do you know what I mean? So like, another way you can think about this is, you see the range differential with where they stalled Tesla today? Hold on, like up here between our calculated spot at like 4.4, it's about 84 cents in range, okay? So if they end up doing something similar today, right, they could maybe they kind of stall like this range in here, or like 439.67, like that's probably the overhead. If they take out this area here, maybe they only take it out by a little tiny bit, like 441, same sort of idea. And it's already had a pretty big move. Yeah, these are really big spots, right? So plus like 440.53 was one of the first bigger targets. It still has the odds to come back. Like, it hasn't broken any major range yet, but still, I'm just trying to let you guys know that like it's definitely enough to be considered a bit of a, like the room left on it, I'm saying. If they did want to push it into close, it definitely has to hold this area here and try getting back over this 439, whatever that fib was that we had off this area here. Whatever it was. These ranges in here. And it has to probably hold around here. Yeah, it has to hold around here. So Tesla, based on where it's stalling, has to probably hold here. Oh, wow, that's a perfect hold, guys. Look, off that move, that's exactly that 50% hold right here. Do you see it? I measured it off that actual stick break and then off the high where they stalled. So that's where it has to hold. It has better odds if it starts holding off of here, which it is the higher low. Isn't that cool? Because this is more calculated around 440.53. How cool is that? Look at that. Do you guys see that? Do you understand this concept? So this low right here is off the high versus the actual previous range. Okay, if you measure off our actual calculated spot, it'll get better structure breaks once it holds off of here, 437.42. That's really interesting. And this is giving it odds to get to that 440.53, 441.08. And right in time for like these imbalance moves here for 324, 328. These are generic times that the market tends to move anyway, ahead of imbalance prints. So we can watch this window. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? Hey? And then if this was the calculated move, look, that's the calculated move to 441. Look, that's why they probably cleared off 437.68. That's actually crazy. So then the range break has to be between 437.68 and this 439.37. Isn't that insane? To give the full move to 441. 441 in play here on Tesla. This is a very good structural hold here on this one. Still implying those odds to get to 441. These were the targets that I had on this one today. Gave a really good buyback around that 437 range. And that could actually be single stick breaks here too. There's nothing brain melting about it. It's literally the overhead between here and here, the differential between here and here, and a fib retracement. It's not, there's nothing really complicated about it. You're just measuring the fib from here to the actual high, which is where they held the low. My calculated price was 440.53, which gives better odds. That's when they held the higher low. Okay. If you measure off the calculated range that we added above here, that's where it would have to break. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the differential between the actual high of day and our calculated spots right here at 435.46. I'm not sure what's confusing about that. Intel, I think, is probably capping for the end of session here today unless they want to move it like right into the close. These are definitely enough to be considered max ranges on INTC. Skeptical of push before going up. Well, they have literally 30 minutes until that candle flips at 355, 356. Does that make sense? So they have a lot of time to do whatever they want for like, especially beneath 9.9, but above 8.8. They're just stuck in the middle. This is a good hold though at 9.2. 9.2 hold is solid. Especially if they could bring it back to here at this point in time. Does that make sense? NQ back to that 24,735. ES potentially stuck till end of session here today. Which means they have very high odds of pinning the close. This is the only other window that I would say they have odds, but it doesn't even necessarily need to come back and retrace. Probably just has to sustain. I would say at the very least, we'd probably want to at least like test these areas, even if they don't take them out during those points in time. Watching Tesla here for the 330 window to see if we get our 440.53 target. 441.08 seems quite calculated. 441.38 to 49, and then our actual upper overhead is 442.10. I'm not sure if we're going to get our 442.10 today, but it could be very likely. 440 You know what? Actually, the 440s could be a really good play into end of session here on Tesla for whoever is day trading this. Thank you guys so much for the tips, by the way. Thank you, Michelle. You're the best. I just saw that. And Reezy. And Bubbles. All right, let's see if we get some retest here between that 330 to 336 window on Tesla. ES has odds, like we said, to come back and backtest the zone here. Ideally, we probably want ES to hold closer to like 9.2, 9.3, but technically speaking, it could still afford some backtest since it has so much time still. Okay. This is more of like a neutralized spot in here if it holds in the zone. Oops. Tesla's stalling a little bit. So this area is a little bit more calculated off 9.2. 9.3. Tesla so far reducing range a little bit here. By 1.5, which is very close to these areas here. We'll see if they can try turning this back around between that 32 to 36 window. Did you guys roll into Monday? Or are you guys gonna wait just for end of session here on this today? I can't believe crypto held that exact spot, like to the exact penny. That's insane. That we talked about yesterday. They're still stalling here between 330 and 336 on Tesla. What do you guys think? I haven't done any polls, but max range for ES real-time session today, 67. Do you guys think highs are in? To 67.0250, 67.03 to 67.0550, 67.06 67.08. Highs are in 67.08 plus. I'm going to set that for 5 minutes for you guys. Yeah, but like I was saying earlier, we want to bring it back at least into this area here. If it's going to digest, it's better it digest above 3.7, 3.8. So, I mean, it's still not the worst case scenario, especially if they're just trying to save the final bit of range for the close. It's not like we have that much range left anyway, even if it does break highs. So, same thing with ES. Can you guys get more votes on that poll, please? I set it for 5 minutes so you guys actually vote this time. 440. Oh, you did do the 440s? Well, they kind of stalled here, but they still took out this 439.43, which is good, and they're still holding structure above this 438.15, 438.07. I think they have to really start holding this area in here now for this to get like a good odd into the last 15. Like this area has to really hold now. Okay, what time is it? There's market usually has odds around the 3.8 to 4.5 window, so we'll watch there too. The thing is ES is stuck until end of session, so that could be another reason why a lot of things are just not moving. You know what I mean? Like the index is holding some things back. We can see though if Tesla gets a retest here at 3.8 of these ranges. Watch and see too if ES gets a break here off 3.8, especially around like the 9.5, 9.6 mark. Doesn't really necessarily need 9.6, but we just want it to stay above 9.3. This is actually a really good hold. Euro, do you see that? This is a good hold. 9.293 hold during the last half hour of the day. Like I was saying, we don't necessarily have to retrace these areas here because we did what we had to do at 3 and before 3. Okay, so this helped us for this last period. And because we have odds for end of session, like super late, we just have to basically sustain this period. So sustain, this is sustainment above this yellow line. And then hopefully just stay within range, just like I was saying with Tesla and ES. So for ES, it was more so staying above here. This last bit for Tesla was more so staying above here. 238 stick break, retesting that 439, whatever that spot is, 43 on Tesla. ES tested 9.550, which is good. I'm gonna watch like the midpoints for the 4.5 period. NQ came back and tested the midpoints too. It's basically just like testing half the range here. Tesla got a nice stick at 238. They could be setting up Tesla, like I said, for like very, very late day. So whoever was saying that earlier, you're not wrong about that. Like Tesla does move late, but right, we're so close to max ranges. Like if they wanted to give it up here, they could have, right? But they did a really good job of sustaining this area here. So, but I would say though that they definitely have to retest highs probably before the 350 mark for this to stay in play though, because they're still at risk here. Only because, actually wait, why do we have to retest highs, you think, on Tesla ahead of the final like 10 minutes or so for this to not break down? What's the reason behind that? What do you guys think? Oh, wow. Okay, I voted for 6703, 670550 as well, so we'll see if we end up getting that. Why do you guys think Tesla has to actually come back and retest here before the final 10? What's the reason for that? What do you guys think? Nope. There's a specific reason, something it didn't do. No, why would you want to limit range? We want to break range. We haven't broken range. That doesn't make any sense. Why? Why do we want to try breaking on Tesla, guys, ahead of the close here? Especially the last 10 minutes. What did we not do? Is this high enough for us to break higher on the session today? We never even tagged for 40.53. That's the calculated spot. Okay? That obviously puts you at risk. Make sense? Approaching the last 15 here into the close. Yeah, still kind of going back and forth between these ranges. I'm gonna mostly just focus on my own positioning here into the close, guys. So if we're breaking down a little bit off the 4.5. Yes, trying to still hold off 9.3. These are exactly where I figured they'd keep this stuck. Well, Tesla doesn't necessarily owe us anything, and if it does, it's not much. Guys, I have to shut the stream. I don't know what's wrong with my broker.